now is kind of a perfect, you're also getting a bit mellow Abel in the sense that I'm usually always like this. So that's why I also wanted to film this, because, you know, not all the time is rainbows and bunny rabbits. Not that I'm feeling bad right now, but there is a part of me that, because I'm so used to being like this now, which it never used to be like that. I spoke on that several times last time, but that when I'm not like that, now it's usually like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I implemented all these things. I got out of my own way. I started, you know, moving different. And then when I feel like this, just like very mellow, I'm in the process of now realizing that there's nothing wrong with that. And again, I post a lot of these things, and I want to be as transparent as possible in hopes that it could resonate with someone else going through whatever they're going through, because we can see a lot of the finished product online. That's why I try and hop on lives as much as possible as well. But we could, as consumers, you know, even for myself and watching other people, I can see people's content or just people's lifestyles and things. And for one, you could play the comparison game, which is just like the worst thing to do. There's like no end to it. There's no point of doing it. Yet as human beings, it's just kind of what comes natural. We see all these people with all these things and how happy they look. But at the end of the day, we also have to realize that maybe that is true, and those are things that those people have. But like, they also go through things, you know. And I realize that when I look at, just if I'm looking and I see stuff, I'm like, oh, that's, you know, it's so awesome. But I also know, because I do this stuff behind the scenes so much, that that's just the finished product. You know, it's what most people want you to see. I mean, people, for the most part, you know, social media and the day and age we are, it's like, I'm going to post what I want you to see. I don't want to post anything that I don't want you to see, you know, because God forbid. You know? So I'm trying to, at least with what I'm doing, to branch that. And I feel like I've definitely done a good job with it on lives. But it's definitely more of a thing, like, socially, to post about it. Like lives, I can be as transparent, and I have been as possible, and building into the comfortability, getting uncomfortable with that. Some of you guys probably know that if you were to watch some of my lives or some of my videos from a long time ago, I'm just a completely different person. And I would urge you, not even because it's me, but because you're here and you're watching this, I would definitely urge you to go back and watch some of those videos. I know I have, and it's definitely, it's weird. It's shocking. I feel like a completely different person. I feel less held back by a lot of things. And all of these things that I'm talking about now are leading up into what I feel like this discussion this time is about, as far as getting out of your own way. We just freaking overcomplicate stuff, just with everything. It could be work, it could be career, relationship, everything and anything. We just want to complicate it, because it can't, for one, I mentioned this last time, we don't want to believe that, like, it can't be that easy just to, like, do the thing that you don't want to do. But like, we overcomplicate it and make it so difficult. And why do we do that? And a big reason, and I try again, and I try to speak as much as me, myself, and I statements, but I just think it's not just me, you know. I just see things, especially in my personal life, friends, people, places, and things that just throughout my lifetime I've been able to witness, and then watching things also socially, and then people changing, which change, by the way, is not a bad thing. It's actually phenomenal. It's like the evolution of growth. So if anyone tries to say something negative, just understand they're going through something, you know, or they just really don't want to lose the person that they've known for so long, and that person, they don't want to lose that person, because that's a part of what they know. They're so aware of, and they're comfortable with that person and the relationship that they have with that person. But they start to see it grow. You know, God forbid you start to grow. It's like, oh, like, I don't know that person. I don't, like, don't change, you know. But only you will know the answer and the right decision and the right choice to make. And mind you, sometimes it may be the most difficult one. I know it was for me over and over and over and over and over. I can't even say anymore, like, why do we do that, right? So what I was about to go into is, why do we do that? People, places, and things of the past, you know, past program self. The way we grew up, our parents, the things that we taught, the things that we were taught, the friends that we hung out with, created who we now are. Dr. Joe says a thing, I don't know verbatimly what he says, but something along the line, Dr. Joe Dispenza, something along the lines of, like, your personal, what does he say? Oh no, I forget. Your personal reality is your personality. Something along those lines. Your personal reality becomes your personality. So, like, the people, places, things, who you associate with, what you watch, what you focus most on, the music that you're listening to is super important. We touched on last time. It's like, how do you get out of your own way? Especially people that you love, you know? Oh, but I don't want to, like, I love them. You know, it's a tricky one. I love them. I know they're just kind of toxic and they're not, but you know, but they're family, you know, or they're best friends. And it's like, my opinion around this is pretty, I'm just being honest. Like, my opinion around this, just because that's the truth, and it's like the path that most people don't want to go down unless they're okay with being judged, and that's the place I'm trying to totally get to as a human being, and my thoughts and the things that I think and the things that I believe. But it's not widely accepted. It's like, that's family. You know, I feel like societally, it's like, that's family. It doesn't matter. You're there for them no matter what. But it's like, at what cost, you know? And I'm not talking about like I'm talking about someone specific in my life currently right now, like, or a family relationship, but in my past. These are hurdles, and I had to get out of my own way. Oh, well, they were there for me, you know? Or like, I've always been around them. They're just going through a tough time. You know, I can relate to a tough time. So like, I got to be there for them. But like, how long does that last? And that's only something you'll be able to answer yourself. And most of the time you already know, like, it's too long. You're probably in it too long. But then how do you get past that? And it's just breaking it. Like, it's usually, I said this last time as well, it's usually the simple answer. Just do it, you know? Again, my method for, like, motivation and the things that I put myself through in order to keep stepping out of my own way each and every time, again, it has been very military mentality. I didn't grow up around my parents aren't in the military. Why it's like that, why it resonates with me, I can tell you, because all the other ways that I tried to learn, which I consider like the easier, softer ways, they didn't work, you know? Tried to be like kinder to myself and be like, oh, you know, you messed up this time, you did this, but if you do it this way, you know, just do it this way this time. You messed up over here, and that's why that happened. That's why that happened. So if you did it this, but every single time it was the same thing. So therefore, the only answer to that is, I'm the issue. You know, it's like, when do you step back and realize that you're the issue? And I think the only way that you can then you can make the next step and move forward is when, unfortunately, for most people, I know it was for me over and over, it wasn't just one time, is a traumatic experience, you know, is an external traumatic experience or something that you go through that then causes real change. But like, I'm here to tell you that you don't have to go through that. But some people do, you know. That's, again, like, not the easily accepted answer. You don't have to go, like, you really don't. The truth is, you don't have to go through that. I didn't have to go through that, what I went through over and over and over and over again. But I needed to, like, for some reason, consistently touch that hot stove. You know? So I had to wear down, like, super paper thin everything that I thought I knew in the right way it should be done and how it was done in order to get to where I wanted to be. Like, that's, and then every single time it was completely wrong. And what always stinks too is because along this journey of life and the evolution, and I'll just speak like from all the learning experiences I've had and until now, is there's always one thing that like happens positive because of it. And that keeps you there longer. It just like plateaus. It just keeps you there even longer. It's like, oh, one positive thing's happened because I really did it this way. You know? But then you have to, It's evolution of life, but I do believe, looking back on all of it, just be kinder to yourself, but also stern. It's like, it's the freaking balance of all of it. And I don't even want to sit here and be like, it could be tricky, because once you start telling yourself that, then you believe that it could be tricky, and then you start buying into that, and then you start believing that, and then that starts becoming your personal reality, and therefore it turns into your personality. So I'm all for it. I'll co-sign all day, every day. Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. I don't care how disgusting that word sounds, because it did to me for so many years. Fake it till you make it. I don't want to fake it. I don't want to fake anything. I don't want to post that, do that. But I was getting in my own way again, just like I said with content. I didn't want to post TikToks. I didn't want to do this. And it was, and I think a lot of things that hold us back too, and I can relate in my personal experience, is the fear of what other people think. And isn't it funny? Is there anyone that can relate to this? Because isn't it funny that, at least for me, I could be like, oh yeah, I don't care. If it's people that I don't know, mind you, in my personal life, and for a long time, I don't really have that many I don't hang out with many people, if any, and I haven't for a long time. That's from choice, I'm very protective of my energy, and I know the past choices and friends and the choices that I make, they didn't, I wasn't able to trust myself, so I had to cut myself off from everything. Again, I said very military mentality. But moving forward, I think I'll find some friends, hopefully. No, I will. But it's like, gosh darn it, what was I freaking saying? But moving forward, I don't know if this is what I'm saying, but it's going to tie into it. I had to touch the hot stove. Can someone tell me what the freak I was saying? I'm also on live for this camera. You guys could hold me accountable and hold me together. What did I just talk about? Can someone please say it? Because this camera is very candid. This camera right here, the top camera. You have plenty. Oh, goodness gracious. Anyways, bring intention to the circle. But yes, I'll just go off on the topic. Oh, goodness. How do I get out of my own way? The choices I was making were just, I couldn't trust them. I couldn't trust anything, and that's scary. That's a scary place to be. Once you gain the awareness, most people live like they have no idea. They're just like, oh, that's just life, and that's even scarier to me. But the thing is, they always say ignorance is bliss. You don't even know. You're like, life just seems like it's falling apart. Life just seems like it's falling apart, and you don't have the awareness. That's why I'm so heavy on talking about this stuff. Because once you gain awareness, there's definitely no going back, for sure. Because once you know, then you start to realize why you're doing all those things, and it makes it 10 times harder to do the thing you shouldn't. But then on that evolution, of that journey, once you have the awareness and you start to learn more about yourself, realize why you do what you do, that's all those things that are holding you back. And then you have to go on a whole journey of you now have the newfound awareness, and then you have to go through the whole excuses category, which you were having excuses before, you were just unaware. You just thought that excuse was valid, and it freaking ended up in the same place, even or worse in my case scenario. But then each excuse, so that's what I think I was saying. I had to wear myself down to rock bottom. Every rock bottom that I thought was worse, oh my gosh, it could never get this worse. It could never get worse than this. But it did, consistently, over and over, and the period of time actually continuously shortened. At one point, my rock bottom would be a few years, and then it was 8 months, and then 6 months, and then 3 months, and then a week, and then another week, and another week, and then a day. And it's I really don't want anyone to have to go through that stuff, but it's also a personal journey. So I just hope the things that I share about and talk about someone can either learn from my freaking mistakes or pick something up and gain a newfound awareness for whatever they're going through. Like, so they could be aware. Like you're here, you're having these conversations, or you're listening to me ramble about whatever I ramble about, and then you're out about in your life, and then something pops up where normally you wouldn't have had the awareness. It was just subconscious. You just react and create an excuse, where now you're coming here and you're having these conversations, right? I talked about last time the RAS, reticular activating system, what you focus on most, you attract. Same thing as law of attraction. But you come here and you focus and have these conversations, whether it's me watching me ramble or talk about these things, or the engagement that you have in the comments and other people throughout this community, which has been a huge driving point for me building this as big as possible. And I really truly believe that we've only scratched the surface, if that. So I had to keep hitting rock bottom every single time until, that's what I was talking about, external circumstances. Like most people need to hit that, have that external, get that diagnosis or that traumatic experience. It happens. And then it makes them step back, take a whole different perspective of the world. Like they just went into outer space. I say that because I don't watch a lot of outer space stuff, but the astronauts say that. They're like, I wish everyone could just travel to the space. They have a totally different perspective on Earth. But that's what happens, you hear about those traumatic experiences, and maybe you also have gone through them. I know I have, and the crappy part is, like, you think because then I go through one traumatic experience that I won't ever have to go through another one. But in my experience, it was just another one and another one and another one. But then you have that perspective, right? And a lot of people, they have to have that it shocks their whole entire world. The loss of a loved one, a diagnosis, or anything that you can imagine to that extent, right? And then, oh my gosh, even like a really easy one, because I said I like to relate things to the gym. You have a diagnosis, whatever it may be, and then you're really like, oh my gosh, I really need to get my health like up to par. Where before you knew every single time you should have been going, you should have been eating healthier, you should have been doing all these things. Human beings are so wild. They're so wild, so nuts to me. Like I look back and I'm just like, what the frick did I even have, like, all that stuff I believed, all of it. But then you have that traumatic experience and poof, okay, I need to eat my broccoli. I need to really start eating my broccoli, salad. I'm going to use vinaigrette this time. No heavy dressing. You really start going excessive. I need to hit the gym every single day. And you do it, because it becomes, well, I'll lead into, that has changed my life, non-negotiable. So it's funny, if you work backwards, you're like, okay, so because I'm saying it, and also a million other people have freaking said it, you don't have to have a traumatic experience or go through something traumatic or have a diagnosis, or have any of these things extreme happen in your life to actually have a great change in your life. It's just what really helped me to start out easy, because I know these could be big things. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine like all the time, sweat, and energy that goes into, it's really reprogramming yourself. Guys, I swear we're in a video game. I hope this doesn't turn a lot of people off, in the sense that I say I feel like we're in a simulation. I have it all together, at least what I think in my head. But I say that because it is very game-like. All of this is very, very game-like. And it's really about collecting the tools and the knowledge and having the awareness. And I don't want to be one of those people that talk to me like, everyone gatekeeps. Everyone gatekeeps. I mean, for sure, it's like, I just feel like people also, human beings can tend to be selfish. I know I was for a long time. I just think they don't even care, want to put the energy into actually going to explain a lot of these things. But there are a lot of people that do. And I say all the time, we live in the best day and age. We have the internet. You have any of these questions, any of these things that you want to know, whether it's from me or anybody else. I listed last time Dr. Joe Dispenza, Mel Robbins, Ed Mylett, Jay Shetty. I mean, there's, I couldn't even, it would take me all day if I wanted to sit here and just list all the people that are out there. And you'll find, because there is a difference, right? With each, the way we learn. Like I said, mine could be military mentality, help me, just freaking do it, get it done. And then when I would do it, and I would, because it would give me energy almost to have that mentality. I knew in personal experience, the easier, softer way never worked for me, never worked. And then when I hit my freaking millionth rock bottom, and I got to the realization like, oh my gosh, like I am the cause and the effect of all my life decisions. I wound up here because of me. I always had a great excuse every single freaking time. You know, every time. It was because of this person. Or this thing happened. It was usually external. I mean, 99.9% of the time it was external. Very rarely on this evolution for me was it ever like holding accountability for myself. It wasn't like, oh yeah, that was me. I apologize. You know, that was me. Even to myself, you know, like giving myself kindness, which that is so kind to yourself to be like, you effed up here. This is what you did wrong. Let's not do it again. Let's fix it and do it this way, you know? But holding accountability. So going into what I was about to, my brain again, if you're watching this or have watched the other ones in the past, my brain will go all over the place. But I somehow tie it together. Thank you, universe. Non-negotiables. Non-negotiables, there's a freaking fly in here. Non-negotiables have absolutely changed my life. Changed my life. Just set them up. Sounds easy enough. Just set them up. It's a new year. Oh, you want to go to the gym? Let's talk about freaking New Year's resolutions. I think they're great if you commit to them. You know, I just think at this point societally, tell you New Year's resolution, and people are so used to hearing that other people never commit to their New Year's resolution. So if they were to set a New Year's resolution, they're already setting themselves up for failure because subconsciously they already know that people don't ever commit to them. You know, I just non-negotiables. Just set them up. It's like, and be kind to yourself. This is where I effed up a bit because I'd be like an extremist at sense. I'm gonna go to the gym 20 times a day. You know, it's like I would start, and it's like none of that's sustainable. It's the same thing that I talked about earlier with like starting TikTok. I really, in my head, I was like, I can do like 10 to 12. I could probably do 15 edits a day. I could probably do like 12, 15 posts a day. Like I could do that. Nobody's doing that. I could do that. You know, but none of it's sustainable. None of it's sustainable. So I don't want to say be reasonable. I don't really like that word. Or realistic. I can't stand that word. It's because I believe we're in a video game. And most things that you want to achieve to most are unrealistic. So to be realistic, I just don't really co-sign. So I use the word, what's the word I use? In actuality. It's like tomato, but yeah, it's non-negotiables. How are you going to set them up? Be kind to yourself in the sense it's like, okay, this is what I know I can commit to with what I have going on right now in my life. But don't be too lenient. It's a balance of all of it. Don't be too lenient. You'd be like, oh, you know, I probably could do like one a week. You know, I probably go to the gym one a week. Come on. You know, like, come on, for real? If that's your goal, and again, I only relate things to the gym. Let me reiterate. I only relate things to the gym because it's easy to understand in a topic of conversation, right? But come on, 1 week, you'd be like, come on, we know anybody commit to 1 week. You know, let's bump it up a little bit. But it's not, you know, I wouldn't say like twice a day, every day for 7 days. You know, so find the balance that you know will work for you in the time frame that you know it'll work for you. You know, time management changed my life. Time management changed my life completely. Shout out Charles. Charles comes from Charles, what do you always say? Charles, he comes from like a corporate, like a 9 to 5, you know, before, Charles is my manager for anyone that doesn't know, but before being involved in any of this for, hopefully I don't get this wrong, Charles, but over a decade maybe, you were in, like had a 9 to 5. But shout out to him, you know, cause I'm very like the creative. I've had jobs. I never wanted to ever work, you know, but I've had so many odd jobs. Worked at many pizza places. I've been a professional window washer. What else have I been? I worked at Abercrombie and Fitch, which is so embarrassing to say, but it's the truth. I feel like at that time, I think I was like 16. That was the only thing I could find. Or that's my excuse. I have no idea. Where else? Oh, frick. I've had so many jobs. A bunch of like cooking. There was this one called Corner Bakery. I've worked at multiple grocery stores, a bagger, then a cart shopper, whatever. You know, you push the carts. I've freaking so many. I need to write a list out because I very rarely talk about those odd jobs that I had, but I knew how bad back then I didn't want to do it. Like I didn't want to do any of that. I didn't want to freaking listen to anybody, and I didn't want to have a boss. So ever since then, it was just living. That's probably why I'm still a child, you know, I act like a kid. And I've always wanted to hold on to that. That I've been very fortunate that I've been aware of. I was like, I don't want, you know, I was too scared to show that to the world for the longest time, but I was like, I don't want to ever lose this. And I see like what happens to people, you know, and it scared me. I was like, I see what happens to people and they work 9 to 5s and then slowly but surely, you know, and I would always watch all the interviews. I've been like, as far as like mindfulness, law of attraction, all these things that I talk about a lot. I've watched so many videos. I have like is it called a PhD? I don't know anything about school. Whatever the one where like a doctorate, you know, and this information, and it's changed my life, and that's why I talk about it in hopes that someone else could just not have to go through that crap and just hear something that I say, or really whatever's spoken through me, because I talk all over the place, and it helps them, you know. But anyways, I knew that I didn't want to do that, and I had a lot of training. Anybody that doesn't know, I used to snowboard. I used to travel the world and snowboard, and I had an injury and whatever. I'll go into that story at a different point, but if you can freaking look it up online if you're more interested in it, but that's not the topic I want to go into now. How can you set up these non-negotiables for yourself? Only you can answer that question, but still at the same time, it's like if you can't trust you right now, then you really can't. So, I mean, I could sit here and I could list you out a few things. I don't really know what your, what your specific thing is. Maybe it's health. Maybe it's like find like a better relationship. I mean, it could be a million and one things. But I think once it stems back to how do you want to feel, like just make it that simple. Where are you feeling at lack? Where are you not feeling your best? If it has to do with your health, we'll just keep it there because it's simple conversation. Just switch the word health for whatever it is. What can you implement into your life today, not freaking next week? What can you implement to your life today? And time management. Shout out Charles. Oh, my brain goes a million miles a minute. Just when I say I'm mellow, then I start talking about this stuff and my freaking adrenaline starts to go up, and then, you know, I'm freaking off the rails. Setting these things up and having time management behind it. Because Charles had a normal, like a day job, and I'm freaking just out here just running the streets, you know, just like, I'm gonna freaking do whatever. I'm just gonna be a child. And thinking that I was doing all the right things, you know? Well, I'm putting in so much work, and I just posted a video earlier about this. It's like, I really truly believed if I just put this, I don't ever sleep, and I just put in all this time, sweat, energy, like it's gonna happen. But what it really was at the end of the day was just a ton of busy work that just made me feel like I was accomplishing things when I really wasn't accomplishing the right things, you know, that were gonna get me to the place that I really wanted to be. So big shout out to Charles, because he was a big help in the time management. Because I didn't, you know, I've always worked. I've never had an issue with like self-control in the sense of like, what's it called when you put something off? Like I never procrastinate. So I knew myself in that sense. Again, I was very military mentality for myself for like ever. And I knew that I wasn't like that, and I knew I was always going to work. But my issue was that I was just doing a ton of stuff and working on things that weren't moving me forward. So when talking with him, I was like, here are the things, and structure my day. And I used to always use notepads. You know, notepads, I've done that. I probably got that from my dad, but it's crazy. Like the actual sticky notes, he's like all over the place, as if, and I get that from my pops. Shout out my pops. He still does it. I've told him, just switching from that to writing things out, and I'll get into the topic of writing things out. Just switching from that to writing things out on a freaking, like I have it back there. I do it every single day nonstop, and I have, you know? But just switching from that to that has changed the game for me. And then also there's something about what it does historically. Charles, I was just talking about you. It's good. Something it does for you historically. That's just like, it feels good when you mark it off, you know? So these things are super, super important to implement. And then just starting your structure. It's like, okay, normally I do end my day a bit early, you know, and I sit and I freaking binge watch whatever you watch. And trust me, I've binge watched New Girl more times than you could count, you know, but in all good time. It's like, just create those routines for yourself, non-negotiables, and these are what you do. And only you can freaking hold you to it. That's it. No one else is going to. Honestly, just look at it. I don't want to sound like, oh, people just don't freaking care. But everyone is wrapped up in their own world. like no one, there's no easy way to say that no one's going to save you. Like, you have to. I think there's so much power once you realize that, though. If it's like taking away, because I've lived a lot of my years thus far in like the boohoo self-pity, you know? Oh, for one, I'm trying not to go into I'm trying to just talk about specific things. But the universe doesn't respond to that, by the way. If it's like boohoo pity party, well, this always happens to me, or this person treats me like that. Oh my gosh. It makes me sick to even hear stuff like that. Like, I just don't want to partake in conversations like that. Again, I'm super protective of my energy, and I know from my experience that never did anything for me, myself, or anybody else that was having the conversation, you know? Just super toxic, and it just built resentment, and it's never the move. But no one's gonna save you. No one, like, I wish I could freaking save everyone, you know? I'll be honest, like, as much as so bad. But that's just the truth. Like, no one's gonna freaking save you, and everything's on you. But as long as you switch your perspective, you understand how much power is behind that? The fact that you hold all the cards. And again, everyone's dealt different freaking cards. This conversation isn't to like sit and be like, well, Susie, okay, yeah, like Susie was born with a freaking silver spoon or whatever they call it. Oh my gosh. Like, that I posted this on stories the other day, and I swear the negative comments, and they're not even that they're negative, but the comments that I really want to respond to, they are negative. It's just it's not that I'm saying my perspective is correct, but what they're saying against what I'm trying to like explain or post on the internet is super counterintuitive. Like, what they're saying is the reason why it's holding them back. And me being myself, I truly want to help someone understand. So someone was explaining something, because I was talking about how these things have changed my life and blah, blah, blah. And this person was saying, and again, I understand hurt people. I would never, you guys hear me say that all the time. You know, people are always going through something, but it really gets my gears a grinding when I really want to help, you know, someone to understand. They were explaining that, well, some people grow up and they have, you know, a ton of money, and some people grow up like this and some people grow up like that. So how are you supposed to expect anyone to just, you know, law of attraction, or just to like work out for them? And I was like, oh, like that was the belief that has held me back for so many years. It did for a long time when I was way younger. I was like, why me? Why can't I have this life that I see for these people? But this person that's just how it is. You know, they just grew up like that, you know, but I will never be me. Oh my gosh. It just like contradicts the statement. Like, yes, we have many differences, but if you start to allow those differences to differentiate you from where you're trying to go, they'll always hold you back. If that makes sense. You understand what I'm freaking saying? Everyone freaking grows up different and is dealt different cards. You have cards. How are you going to play them? You know? Like I said, it's a freaking video game. How are you going to play your cards that you're dealt? Because I guarantee you, this is one thing, we always think we have it so freaking bad. We can. I've historically have gone through this many times in my life. You know, you're in a situation where like no one could ever have gone, like ever been through what I'm going through right now, and you feel alone. I'm also here to tell you that you're not. That's why we are having conversations like this. But we always think when we have it really bad, I bet you everything, someone has it worse. And that person, if they thought they had it worse, someone has it worse, you know? So it's like having gratitude for where you're at, switching your perspective. Okay, these are the cards that I was dealt. And I guarantee you, wherever you come from, whoever you are, is irrelevant. If you see someone that has also done what you've done, and there's been some amazing people, all different freaking walks of life that have done unheard of, unspoken things, right? Someone else can do it, so can you. So if you have people in your life that are also holding you back and telling you that you can't do it, or it's unachievable, or unrealistic, which I can freaking stand that word again, I'm here to tell you, and go freaking search it on the internet, because me and millions of other people will also tell you, for one, break away from those people, even though it may be hard, back to my earlier conversation topic of what I was talking about. Break it from those people. Understand you are worth more than you even possibly could imagine. The universe is showing you these things. You feel like you watch these things. I'm sure you feel different. Do you feel different? You know, because I did, but I always thought it was a bad thing. For years, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm just not like these people, you know, or I'm just not like that. But or maybe maybe you have it totally opposite. You're like, you are so different, and you know you meant for more, you know? Both case scenarios are great. But if you have the one that's lack, and it's like, oh, I'm too different, I can't, it doesn't, that makes you stand out. So I'm here to tell you, you could also go listen to a million other people on the internet that will tell you the same freaking thing. That is what makes you different. In the best way possible. I was the same way with music. I was like, oh, all my stuff sounds so different. I can't, like, I'm trying to sound like this. If only I realized sooner that that was like the biggest plus, definitely in this industry, or just in this field. But it changed my life, changed my perspective. Non-negotiables, getting out of your own way. Non-negotiables, getting out of your own way. And have fun, you know? Again, what you focus on most, you attract. You know, don't take yourself too seriously. I know I did, again, very military mentality. Oh God, if I just had a little bit more balance. I don't wish that I would have taken that stuff away at all, but I do believe, and the thing that I posted about Abraham Hicks earlier today, I was like, I do believe, you know, if I just would have been more balanced around like kindness, appreciation, and like allowing of things to come in. I always felt like I had to force stuff to happen. I was like, well, if I don't do X, Y, and Z, and I do it by yesterday, then none of it's going to happen. For one, if I'm saying none of it's going to happen if I don't do it by unreal, like just not a real timeline, can't do a million things by yesterday, then you're already projecting that it's never going to happen, right? If you believe in that and it's a real thing. But you just have to start with little things. That's what's helped me, especially facing fears. Start with little things. You know, for me, it was just like talking to people. I don't want to say, I feel like I'm an extrovert. Where before, totally insecure. I wouldn't want to talk to someone. I'd just be like at the party, and I just, you know, just sip on drinks, and that was it. You know, super insecure, liquid confidence. Never, you know. But now I feel totally different. But that's because I feel like I'm a completely different person in a completely different body. You know, it's funny. We parlayed to the story. We look at like videos and stuff of just I feel like I look like a different person too. It's crazy. If you go back and just look at just type in like me and type in like an older date. I literally look like just typing in the internet. I look like a totally different person. It's weird. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everyone feels that way. Maybe I'm sure everyone feels that way. But like I really feel, if you were to see what I'm saying, you'd be like, oh no. Anyways, anyways, set those little things up. For a big thing, it was fear for me. So if I started a non-negotiable, I'm going to say this to this person every day. If I go out, I'm going to start a conversation. You know, and it was so like so much anxiety. That was another topic that someone wanted to talk about. There's so much anxiety behind that. How do you overcome anxiety? Again, the simple answer, I say most of the time it's a simple answer. And again, the answer is in the question. You overcome it. How do you overcome anxiety? You overcome it. You do something about it. Nike's got the best saying, just do it. You know, don't come up with an excuse of why you shouldn't do it or why it's different this time. Again, it's all on you. No one's here to save you. But again, there's so much power behind that. It's all on you. Only you could F it up, you know, which is so dope, It's just perspective. It's so awesome. It's hard, and I'm sure a lot of people can experience this. It's hard to count on people, you know, or maybe you have people in your life and are fortunate enough to have people that you can count on, and that's awesome. I have the experience of both. But it's even more powerful to realize that you can always count on yourself. So like stopping to cut all the other BS out, like that's awesome. You could be your own best friend. I know I am. You think most of the stuff I post on the internet, it's like I don't talk to myself? Of course I do. Literally, figuratively, and literally. You know, like I just like who knows? You know, I just want to have a good time while I'm here. I'm so over just being so hard on myself, and I'm so sick. What did I say? I'm so sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. It's like it's that deep for me. And once I started changing that perspective, I was like, what's going to make me feel good now in a positive way? What's going to make me feel, how I feel, you know, like how I want my future self to feel. How can I tweak that? How can I tweak that, unlock that level of that video game to feel that right now? And watch. Once you start to do that for yourself, for me it was nature, the gym, reading became a thing, which is crazy because I was always told I was dyslexic. You know, you have to identify with the fact that you're dyslexic and you have ADHD. Okay, well, I guess I can't read the book then. You know, that's why I failed tests. It gave me like so many excuses. But then once I started diving into this stuff, and then you start researching and watching videos on some of the most successful people in whatever field, it's all the number one thing that's always consistent is how much they read. You know, so once I gained a lot of this new awareness, I was like, well, I guess I gotta start reading. And it was difficult because I bought into the identity of I read things backwards, I'm dyslexic, and I have ADHD, so my brain's gonna go everywhere, so there's nowhere I could focus. It's just training. You know, think about anything. It's anything you do that you now know, anything that you've done, you've learned, and now you now know, that maybe just comes second nature to you, right? Think about driving. You'd be like, well, driving's not really a hard one. We're not talking about, we're just making a simple conversation, okay? Driving. Oh, you think I would just say driving, someone honks? That's the universe. Driving, stick. Let's say stick. We made it a little bit more complicated. For me, I don't know, for me it came pretty now. It's pretty good at driving stick. But I remember the first time I had to go up a hill, that was so nerve-wracking. There was so much anxiety, and there was a bunch of cars behind me. I was with my dad, and then I also feel pressure. I was like, oh, will he accept me? You know, I felt like so much pressure behind all of it, and I was just, it was like, I had to do it. I'll always remember that. I had to do it, you know, but learning how to do it and understanding in my foot and the clutch, and then I had, you know, just, you know, new neural pathways. Your brain's like going all over the place. You don't really know what the frick's going on, but you're learning it, you're picking it up. And then you just do it, you know, and I just sent it, and I actually did it the first time, and I was like, woo! And my dad was like, oh, thank God. No, he's the man, I love my dad. But point being, whatever it is, or riding a bicycle, which you don't really remember, so that's why I didn't bring that one up. That probably would have been easier to bring up. Sounds like a blow-off valve. I'm a big car guy, anyone that who's in the cars, but it wasn't, it was a garbage truck. I always forget to put out my garbage. Anyways, it was tricky at first, right? It was tricky at first. Well, you had to learn. It didn't come naturally. As I say, the same thing for music. People want to sit there. That's why I have such an issue with the word talent. It did not come easy. None of it freaking came easy. It was so difficult, and I was so frustrated, and none of it made sense. but I wanted it so bad. And I wasn't going to, I was only on me. No one's going to sit there and like the Matrix in that sense and implant it into my brain so I now understand it and I know it. I already knew that was, it's not a real thing was going to happen, but I wanted it that bad. So I do believe going after things and getting involved in things and being around people that also want similar things out of life than you, just lifestyle. I'm not even talking about like material things. That stuff's cool too. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, I know there's tons of channels that tell you it's like not about that. And again, it's what everyone's different, you know, everyone's different, but don't make the fact that everyone's different take away and hold you back from where you as an individual want to be. If you want those things, if you want whatever, you know, but you can have them, but again, it's all on you. So starting the new year, not a New Year's resolution, starting the new year, what can you implement? Just start it this week. Again, it's on you. You could just watch this and be like, oh yeah, cool, and then shut it off and then go eat popcorn and freaking binge watch something. Not that that's wrong, if that's what you want to do. But if you're here and you're listening to this and you've been listening to this for a minute, chances are you don't want that. And even for me, like what can I implement next? You know, the evolution of growing. What can I implement next? What are something? Yes, these things I'm doing and I'm tackling and I've created a good consistency. I'm able to sustain this. What else can I implement into my routine, you know, that can help me evolve more? You know, because I want to keep growing, you know, forever learning. What else can I implement? So it doesn't matter for whatever stage you're at on your journey, but writing these things down changed the game for me. I explained earlier how much switching from sticky notes, sounds so silly, but again, it's usually a simple answer. How much changing from sticky notes all over the place to just a notebook changed the game for me, as far as like, these are the things, the two to-dos and my non-negotiables. And I see it and I write them in order of most important. Those are the things that have to get done. Then it's on you. And it sounds so silly, you know, but we're trying to, in order to live the life you've always wanted, you have to become someone completely different. And if that also doesn't sit well with you, then you'll just have to get there. I just hope you're kind enough along the way and you don't hit a traumatic experience, you know. This fly. But anyways, I hope someone, I just want everyone to, you know, I know it won't resonate. That's just the new place. I had these conversations with my manager, you know, because for so long I knew how much I didn't get it. And how I needed it drilled into my brain over and over and over. And me thinking I knew the right way. And how like I was such a lost cause. I'm sure for so many people that were there trying to support me, friends, family, just through all of this. And just like in and out of treatments, like just people are just like, oh my, like this one's just never, he's just one of those. He's just never going to get it. Never going to get it. The thing is, you can't be too dumb for this. And take in what I'm about to say. You can't be too dumb for this. There's no one too dumb for this, but you can be too smart. You can be too smart. You could outthink your way, come up with a new excuse to why that maybe worked for somebody else, but it's not going to work for you. You know, try things, try new things. How bad do you want it and what are you willing to sacrifice? And again, I know that contradicts a lot of the things that I now talk about as far as like allowing things to come in, you know, but it's a balance. There are things that, I mean, there's still tons of things I have to do every day I don't want to freaking do. But I don't, like, my perspective is so different now. Like, I get to do that, you know? I get to do all that, and I find so much joy in it. I look for all the things, like, okay, if I necessarily don't like doing this, how can I do it in a way that would really, like, intrigue knowing myself? Like, how would I really enjoy doing it even more? So then I start to implement those things. I'm like, oh, well, especially with, like, content, you know, because editing's a lot. A lot of the stuff that you see on here, and this isn't a boohoo, this is just the fact it's a lot of time. And I love doing it. I tell myself, you know, so I fake it till I make it. I love doing it. But I find new creative ways when filming that I actually do love doing. And recently being able to like freedom, like speech, like not being so fearful of what other people are going to think, which has been a big fear of mine that's held me back from so many things in life. But letting go a lot of that recently, especially when talking, has freed up a lot of this new creativity for me, and expressing and talking about these things where I really genuinely actually do, not faking it till you make it, like real stuff, enjoy doing this. But it was a process. It was just trial and error. It's a process of elimination, trying this, attempting that, and then knowing like your truth. Be like, oh, I really don't enjoy doing that, and I couldn't be consistent around it because I have no fun doing it, or I just don't like it, right? So you have to be honest with yourself, but implementing these things, non-negotiables. This conversation went from non-negotiable. I feel like this conversation was pretty non-negotiably. That's what I just hope that someone grabs from this. Non-negotiable. You are your own best friend, your own worst enemy. You decide. No one's going to save you. This is like the simple truth. You've probably heard it in many other videos, or maybe you haven't and you're hearing it here for the first time. But there's power in that. Again, I'll say there's power in that. Everything you ever wanted is on the other side of that fear. Just think about that. Just like sit with that. Everything you've ever wanted. Because I sit here, it's so weird, like when things happen, I sit here like, what? It's so wild. But you know what? All the things that I speak on, that's why I post all the videos that I filmed years ago. I just implemented all the things that I'm talking about. And now I feel like that's what allowed me to be more confident in talking about a lot of these things, because now there's external things where I'm like, okay, maybe someone, out of hopes that it could help someone else. I'm like, okay, would they probably believe me before? If I'm sitting there and I still, I have no money, no nothing, and I'm just like, just trust me, just believe it, fake it till you make it. And trust me, everyone in the universe and all these things, you just got to manifest it and just do this. Non-negotiables. Set these up in your life and you'll live it. And I was like, okay, I'm back. I got to clock in. You know, I wish that was the case. I wish that people would have believed me back then. But truth of the matter is, it makes sense that they wouldn't, you know? And I actually respect the fact that people wouldn't, because then you know. You know, you like really only take advice from people that are either doing something that you're doing, have gone through it. And yes, I think because now we're in the day of social media and anyone can post anything, that there's social proof, you know. But I mean, outside of that, if you relate to somebody and they speak your language, be me or anybody else, like digest that and implement it into your life. Things that these people that you resonate with, you're like, oh, how can I want to do what that person's doing, or I want to do something super similar. How can I implement that into my life and start doing it? You know, because I sit here, I'm just like, that's why I feel it's so important to talk about these things. It makes me so excited because it's like, not because of the external things, because what the external things allow is for people to open up to believe what I'm freaking saying, you know, because I've been freaking saying this stuff forever. But if it's in hopes that now more people will be able to resonate with it in hopes that it helps them, that's all I freaking care about. Like that's genuinely all I care about. But no one wants to hear about it from the car wash guy, you know, and I get that, or wherever. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention that one of the jobs I had was a car wash. But yeah, I just want the best for everyone, and everything's happening, you know. This is a new year. Again, not a New Year's resolution, but this is a new year, and you can and should, you know, become who you were meant to be, but allow yourself to. Balance the sternness with the kindness. Just be there and implement some things that you enjoy. That's good for you. If you enjoy massages, I went to a massage the other day. I didn't tell my manager. I went to a massage the other day, Charles. Not one of those. I didn't go to one. I don't do that. But it was just like just a massage. And she's like, what do you want? And I was like, you know, just just like just like a massage, you know, just one of like the normal ones. She listed a bunch of things. Like, I don't freaking know. But do things. I don't know why I even said that. But just do things, you know. Put. I'm gonna title this this video. Just do things. Implement some things that are good for you. You know, it's super important. That I definitely didn't do for a long time, and that would have really helped me. Just little things. You know, be kind to yourself, but be stern. Be stern. Anyways, I love you guys. Hopefully someone got something from this. And, yeah, I'll post another one soon. But I love you. Okay.